VLR.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz is a Republican and our guest tonight. Senator, good to see you. What's it like to be the most hated man in America?
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. Congratulations. Holy moly. Number
so
170 countries. Oh, my goodness.
Yes, thank
You're
you
having
so
a
much.
good day today.
I am, besides the fact that I'm catching pneumonia in your studio right now.
It's very cold, but you have to wear clothes when you come on here. That's how you
I
make it warmer.
asked if I could bring a blanket, and they looked at me like I was crazy, but I was ready to sit
Probably
there
get you a
and
blanket
do the
and
interview.
cozy up.
Next, news, entertainment, etc. Tonight with Jonathan D. Sangster.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Next. I'm Jonathan D. Sangster. It's good for us to be back. It's been a couple weeks. And speaking of couple weeks, Taylor's back in the producer chair.
Yes, I love how me being the producer was so important that I get my own post or my own mention on Twitter. It was, hey, guess what? Next is going to be on tonight, and Taylor returns his Twitter. I'm like, what? I deserve that? Well, thank you very much.
It's been, what, almost 2 months, it seems like.
Too long.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you work a split shift 6 days a week and don't have time to do anything else. I'm trying to balance myself out a little bit.
Well, hopefully you got some rest, because I know for part of that you were sick.
Yeah, it's not very fun to have E. coli. It's not that fun. Ever.
Some old high school jokes went through my head right there.
I am going to be 100% honest. Not that I know if anybody from Jimmy John's is listening. But Jimmy John's, I did get sick from having your sandwiches. So I will probably not be eating at Jimmy John's anymore. I have no plans to file legal action, no plans to do anything else. I'm going to vote with my pocketbook and not go there anymore.
They didn't make me sick, but both times I ate from them, the bread was crusty to dry, and the meat was questionable colors. So they're one of those places where, I just don't eat.
Yeah.
And my friends get it, and they're like, "Oh, this is so good." I'm like, when you get it, apparently, but anytime I go near it.
See, here's the funny thing. I don't hate Jimmy John's. I like Jimmy John's.
It doesn't like you.
Yeah.
It's like Smash Burger for me. I've gone 4 times, 3 different locations. The one time all I had was fries, and all 4 times I've gotten sick. So clearly there's something in that they put in their food or something that does not agree with me. But my friends go all the time, love it, and I'm just like, all right, y'all have fun, because I'll go find somewhere that doesn't make me sick.
It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
It just kind of happens. So how have you been? You haven't been on for a couple of weeks because you had to work last week.
Yes.
And you did the entire May the 4th be with you the week
Yes.
before. What did that involve?
It was pretty simple. Just started at 9 in the morning with episode 1 and finished episode 6 about 20 to midnight.
Wow. So is that just watching the movies, or did you watch Clone Wars? Did you watch...
Just the 6. Just the 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't done all 6 in a day before. I've done each trilogy, but yeah, so we watched all 6. I was the only one who actually did all 6. Had a, my roommate was in and out, and I had one friend join like halfway through 4 for the rest of them when he got off work. Another friend for the last 2, so... But... No, it was... Yeah, definitely a long day of movies.
Now, let me ask you something. Did you find yourself getting bored or not?
Well, yes and no. I was, by the time my friends got there for the last... I was on my computer playing Star Wars: The Old Republic, and playing Tiny Death Star on my phone, but I was still getting to the movies. It was just, yeah. I'm like, that much TV. Since I don't watch TV, I watch maybe an hour of Netflix a day. I mean, there's days where I don't. There's some days where I watch a couple, but I mean, so sitting there watching something is not something I do anyways. So when I do, I normally am doing something. Like lately, my roommate and we've been going through Battlestar Galactica, and I do my writing while we're watching it. It's just, yeah, I'm always multitasking. So, yeah. But, yeah, that was definitely a long time to sit still.
Yeah, I would think so. I had my own little experience of having to do a lot of stuff that I wasn't expecting. I went to Dallas Comic-Con Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, everybody knows how big of a comic book fan I am and how big of a sci-fi fan I am. However, I can only take conventions for a couple of hours. I go, I see who I want to see, I shake hands with them, I get their autograph, get a picture if I can, and then I leave. It's just how I do it. It's easier for me to do it that way. This time, though, I went to all 3 days. And I have to thank JD the Bard for encouraging me to go to all 3 days, because she and her husband were both there. And Chris and Dana Lash, at some point, we will run into each other when I have the comic books for you. And that way, we can do that. But that way I can give you the comics. But one reason why I don't go to comic book conventions that much is the money. It's expensive to go to a comic book convention.
Yes, that's why I haven't actually gone to one yet.
I mean, it used to be that I would go to a comic book convention and I would buy all sorts of crap there. Just all sorts of stuff. And it was like, oh okay. I got it all. I'm happy I got it, but what am I going to do with it now?
Yeah.
This time, this time I did end up spending. I did end up spending over $200, which is more than I would like to spend.
But that's not that bad.
It's still more than I would like to spend. However, I had only one impulse purchase. And that was everything else I went there to the con to buy. And that was spending $50 to get my picture taken with Michael Rooker and get a photo with him from The Walking Dead. And also he'll be in Guardians of the Galaxy. But I did that, and then I got I got to talk guns with him. We're standing next to each other. We're getting ready to get the picture taken. I was like, I really like that video. There's a video online of him shooting a Colt 45, and he hits targets dead on at 70 yards.
Nice.
It's just awesome. So we got to talk that, and we're sitting there, and we're sitting there, and I'm going, so do you just have all Colts? What all do you have? And he's like, yeah, I pretty much got all Colts. I got some rifles. I got, the handguns. I was like, great. I got an HK-45 compact, and I got a couple Berettas. And I really want to get a Noveske rifle. And they're a small company up in Oregon. So we talked guns, and that was fun. And then I got to see Adam Baldwin, which was even more fun.
Very nice.
So that was my experience for the weekend. It was well worth it. It was well worth it. Something else that sounds well worth it is Godzilla.
Yes. That was an amazing movie. I went and saw it since they had this for it, they had the Thursday 7:00 showings.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even midnight anymore. Yeah, I went and saw it right away. I had bought the tickets as soon as they were out, weeks in advance and stuff. And I'm a lifelong Godzilla fan. I mean, I have the original movies. I got off work, I came home, while I'm doing my writing, I'm watching the original Godzilla from 1954. Which is an awesome movie if you haven't seen, because somehow they managed to kill Godzilla by eliminating the oxygen out of Tokyo Harbor, but yet the water remains.
Now, the original one?
Yeah. In the original 1954 movie, they kill Godzilla by sucking the oxygen out of Tokyo Harbor, but not affecting the water.
Huh.
It's, you gotta love 50s science.
Yeah.
Sci-fi movies, it was quite intense, but yeah, no. So I'm a, huge Godzilla fan, and, don't like to acknowledge the 98 one as a Godzilla movie, just as one of the Jurassic Park movies.
And I think that's actually, if you don't look at it as a Godzilla movie, that film, the 98 film, it's not horrible.
No.
But it's not Godzilla.
Yeah, just put it with the Jurassic Park movies, and it works.
Yeah.
But putting the name Godzilla on it was like, no, no. But this new one, however, when I got out of it, I Facebook and tweeted status, this was Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no doubt. It wasn't just, the trailers, okay, we could tell it's size-wise it is, but no, this movie actually deserved the name. It was a great action movie, so if you're not necessarily a Godzilla fan and you like action movies, you'll enjoy it. I mean, if you just like movies, it's be hard not to enjoy this movie. It's just a good movie, well made. There was a couple issues, mostly in the military logic part of things that I had with it, but that was, they had to keep the main character, not Godzilla, the main human character involved in everything. So there was this kind of, why is he there? But he's not trained for that type of things.
Talking about, of course, now I'm blanking on his name. Breaking Bad, Malcolm in the Middle. Him?
No, actually, but that's a slight spoiler right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was one thing. I've seen some people upset about that. Especially if any of you follow Danny Dement, he did a review on it. His big thing was that he didn't like how little he was actually in, when the whole trailer seems to be that he's the star.
Yeah, the whole trailer is Bryan Cranston.
And yeah, he's not. He's in it. He's not in it a lot.
He's in it, but okay.
Yeah. The actor playing his son is actually the lead.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was just totally enjoyable.
Anything.
Yeah, I'm trying not to.
I'll read it online. Just don't spoil anything.
Yeah. The review I wrote on my site, it's there's two spoilers really in it, and one of them won't mean anything unless you are a Godzilla fan.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, you kind of could figure from the trailer anyways, that it's a San Kaiju event.
Sure.
Yes, I'll use the Japanese words there, which if you have the old Godzilla movies, they were the original ones back when they're black and white. They're rated by kaiju instead of just, not necessarily that whether the movie is better or not, but it was just like if you know the movies, you'd understand what it means. But yeah, it was pretty exciting. There's certain things, if you know Godzilla, you're waiting for, and so you're just waiting for that moment. And when it comes, it's just like, oh my god, that was awesome.
Cool.
But yeah, really try not to say more and give any spoilers. But yeah, basically, just I loved it. I'm going to go see that at least one more time in theaters. I'm actually considering seeing it in 3D. Because now that because I find with 3D movies I've gone to that you're too busy watching the 3D stuff to watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I've seen the movie, so maybe it'd be worth it seeing it in 3D. Because of my friends are like, if it's in 3D, we have to see it in 3D. And I'm like, never usually go with them to movies because of that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this one could be fun.
All right.
But
well, that sounds good. So you would say that, and you liked how the monster looked?
yes. I mean, it helped that he was size right, too. But no, it still looked, it didn't look like a guy in a suit anymore, but it definitely had the same look as the guy in the suit. With the how Godzilla looked. He moved a little more smoothly, but at the same time, like my mom always would say, when really Godzilla's just going for a walk. The buildings are in his way. He can't help it that his tail swings a bit and knocks down another building or two. And that was kind of how this movie was. That Godzilla is definitely not trying to destroy buildings.
Right.
They're in his way. But yeah.
But it's not. But no. But it's not like the one that came out in the 90s with Matthew Broderick.
No, it's nothing like that.
Okay,
yeah, the Jurassic
good.
Park one.
And as much as I want to talk about, I still think the Jurassic Parks could have been so much better.
Yeah.
If they had followed the book more. They could have been so much better. I mean, you could have made it, instead of a PG-13, you could have made it an R, and it still would have done fine. And
now, if they made it now, what would have made it R then would still pretty much keep it at PG-13 through how the ratings changed.
Yeah, that is true.
Because it's just the violence.
Yeah, and there's some plot stuff you could have done. I mean, if you had followed the plot of the book more, I think it would have been better. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's the issue with a lot of movies. How closely or not they're from the book.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, very rarely do you have books that, even if they don't follow, or do you have movies that, even if they don't follow the book, they're still good? Hunt for Red October is the best example that I can think of.
Yes.
But that's just me. Yeah. So you would say, you give it you give this one 2 thumbs up, huh?
Yes. And I'd grab someone else to make them do it too.
Or 2 big giant claws up.
It's a Godzilla roar of triumph. There we go.
I would be interested to find out if they ever did. Actually, you know what I would be interested to find out? Is if they ever would do a Pacific Rim.
Ugh.
You did not like Pacific Rim?
No.
Well, that's all the time that we have for this edition of Next. Join us next week with your new No, just kidding. I liked it, but I can understand why some people might not.
Yeah, I was not impressed with Pacific Rim.
All right.
But
yeah. Everybody has the right to be wrong.
Yes, you do.
But no, you would not be in favor of a crossover then.
Well, I mean, we kind of had that.
Unless it ended with Godzilla beating the crap out of everybody.
Well, that would be of course, because he's only died once, and then they realized, wait, he was really popular. We need to bring him back.
Didn't they? And wasn't it technically the son, the spawn in the other ones, the spawn of Godzilla, or was it actually Godzilla?
Well, some of them, I guess it was, and then some of them there was there was Son of Godzilla, and it was a totally different looking, much younger version of Godzilla, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was in a few of them, and I believe they explained it that this was just another one, like possibly the mate.
Mm-hmm.
That there had been two Godzillas. The one was killed in the first movie, and then the other one came back for vengeance. And then over the progression, Godzilla went from the villain to the hero. You started instead of actually purposely trying to destroy Tokyo, you had him suddenly destroying it in effort to save Japan from other aliens or other monsters or aliens in a couple cases.
Right.
And then you had, like Mecha Godzilla. That's why it was with Pacific Rim. They kind of did it. I mean, they had Mecha Godzilla.
Okay.
And that's how they explain it, because the Mecha Godzilla was formed around the bones of the first Godzilla.
Okay.
And that, and then, and then there was a couple of Mecha Godzilla movies, and there was, it got taken over by the mad scientist type person or just supervillain, and then Godzilla once again had to save Tokyo, but this time from Mecha Godzilla, because Mecha Godzilla had gone bad. But
yeah.
But
all right,
yeah.
Well that makes sense. So now that we've discussed sci-fi, what else do we want to talk about?
Well, I need to share one other thing first that I mentioned to you, but that was just awesome. When you all get a chance, go to for the either Kurt Schlichter or Rena Moises, their Twitter feeds, because someone sent them an awesome picture, and I saw it on Facebook from her, but there's an alligator at a doorway, and excuse me, folks, do you have a minute to talk about our Lord and Savior Godzilla? And it just makes me happy. I've shared it too. It's on my Facebook and Twitter as well, but I have to give credit for them having it first. But yeah, that just made my night.
That's funny. That our Lord and Savior Godzilla.
Savior? Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that made my night, definitely. Yeah. Other stuff to talk about. Well, today the Swiss voted. Was it today or yesterday? Sorry. This weekend, the Swiss voted on whether or not to increase the hourly minimum wage to 22 Swiss francs, which is about $25 US, and overwhelmingly 76% voted no. The socialist and green parties and trade unions had been backing and pushing for the minimum wage increase.
Of course.
But obviously the population felt differently when you have 3/4 of the country vote no. And that's, we hear how that's where, like the fast food increase the minimum wage for fast food workers to $15, and it's like, and because that would solve all the problems, because then people would be making money. Okay, well, what costs are going up because we have to pay that more?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the Swiss basically realized, it would lead to an increase in unemployment because companies could not hire as many people, and every cost would go up, so it would hurt to devastate the economy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, more than just that, you have to consider. I mean, there are trickle down effects when this stuff happens.
Yes.
I mean, you look at what happens when you have too many people making when you have a lot of people making too much money. At some point, and companies are losing revenue, at some point you have to start doing cutbacks. And you sit there and say, okay, well, we like what this guy does. However, he costs too much. So we can either tell him that, we want him to take a pay cut, or we say, something, we appreciate the work that you do, but we're going to have to let you go.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that people don't realize, because they see, all these corporations have all these money, or have all this money, and it never stops. Well, at some point it's going to, and that's something that folks have to realize. But what do I know? I'm just an evil capitalist
who believes that people have common sense.
Yeah, that's who. Well, I don't. Not everybody has common sense, but I think that there is plenty of common sense out there that people forget.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, I mean, you look at what happened in. I mean, you look at what happened in Switzerland as a as hope. Hey, maybe some people do realize that at some point the money is going to run out. But then you have people going on strike for whatever.
Because they can. And then on Friday, India's elections took place, and Narendra Modi won a decisive victory. He won by more than 30% of the vote, and giving the largest victory margin since 1984. And his party, I am not going to actually try to say that. I'm not going to even attempt, so I'm sorry. But they took the majority of the seats in parliament, making the first time since '89 that a coalition government would not be necessary. He's an extremely pro-business politician. I mean, he started with a tea shop. So he's a self-made businessman, and then so expectations with him are that his government will bring a new golden economic age.
There are a couple of things you have to look out though, and be kind of worried about with him sometimes. Is I think that there were some concerns about how much he was. There were some times where I think he sidled. There were people criticized him for. I can't remember if it was speaking out against Muslims or being involved with. Hang on a second. I'm looking at this. No, I'm sorry. Let's try this again. There were questions about his about this 2002 violence that happened, where Britain's got really kind of the Gujarat riots.
Yes.
Now that's 2002, and it's not really known about how much, involvement he had in that. There were people who were concerned about his anti-Muslim rhetoric that he'd had before, but who knows? So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
And it's huge. The coalition led by the current leaders of the Gandhi family is out again, and that alone is huge.
Yeah. One of the things that we'll be interested in seeing is that now this is going to be very interesting. The Sunday Guardian reported in April 2014 that by the end of 2012, a reversal in foreign policy towards Modi by Obama had occurred. Previously, during the tenure of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, efforts were made to get Narendra Modi, apparently for the 2012 Gujarat riots, but in reality for taking stands that may be different from that favored by the U.S. administration. The clandestine operation had run through European NGOs, and efforts were made to find mass graves in Gujarat, which could be presented as evidence of genocide. According to the report, despite 6 years of searching, no evidence whatsoever of mass graves was uncovered.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see what happens.
He's a big-time Hindu, and so, there has been... that he's made remarks about Muslims that aren't considered politically correct.
Mm-hmm.
And the more politically involved he got, and the higher up in the scheme of things he got, the more accusations were filed against him. So, was it trying to hurt him, or was it based on reality?
Yeah.
That's another question. So.
Of course, the other interesting thing that's interesting is that in April 2014, so just last month, senior Pakistani diplomat told the Daily Telegraph that Modi is their preferred choice for the prime minister, as he could provide the strong leadership necessary for peace talks.
Yeah. Yeah, which is interesting when the Pakistanis want whoever the Pakistanis want to be as leadership of England is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's the entire fight over, they're still fighting over Kashmir.
Yeah. It's still threatening each other with nukes and stuff.
If they can figure out a way to get that solved, that's not a bad thing.
No.
That doesn't involve nukes.
Yeah, if they can find out a way to solve it without blowing up that part of the world, definitely not a bad thing.
Yep, agree.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see what's going on, but definitely interesting, and him being so pro-business is considered a very good thing.
No, I don't disagree.
And then, meanwhile, in Vietnam, there's been, especially over Wednesday and Thursday, was the worst of it when 21 people were killed in riots against China. 16 of the killed over that time period were Chinese or Chinese descent. Over 100 people were also hospitalized during that period. The protests stemmed to anger over Chinese violations of Vietnamese territory, and including the building of an oil platform in what's internationally considered Vietnamese waters, but is part of China's continued attempts to claim other countries' parts of the area. And China's been telling the Vietnamese government to get their act together. You can't even control your own people. Attitude. But yeah, definitely that continued. I mean, they've had spats with Japan over islands there, had spats with most of the countries in that area, including the Philippines, which is a U.S. ally, part of that almost involved U.S. ships, actually, during some of the confrontations. But so far, has only been verbal, and the only firing of anything that's happened is water cannons at each other ships. So that's kind of...
Water cannons, it's better than actual cannons.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But, yeah. That situation continues ongoing. And then, Turkey this last week had on Tuesday the accident at a coal mine that left 300 some dead, was followed by violent riots in several Turkish cities who are blaming the government for lax safety measures for causing the disaster, and just one more thing on their list of grievances against Prime Minister Erdogan, who there's been off and on protests for the last couple of years trying to get him out of power, but nothing like Ukraine saw, where they just sat there and protested for months straight till it happened, or anything like Bangkok, where there was long periods of time. It's off and on, but anything that happens in the country, they blame on him. Sometimes justly, other times just because they don't like him and they didn't like what happened, so they put the two together.
Mm-hmm.
But and then Libya, there was fighting going on in Libya again near Parliament today, and then on Wednesday, the Pentagon had announced the relocation of 200 Marines from Spain to Sicily in case of troubles in Libya. And then guess what? There's troubles in Libya. The 200 Marines are part of the Special Purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force Crisis Response. And they've, several times before, them or other people or members of the unit have been repositioned due to concerns of instability in North Africa. This is the group that would have been one of the groups, at least, had something been done about Benghazi.
So they're moving them now, but not...
Yeah.
But not later.
Yeah, so they get to chill in Sicily for a bit instead of Spain.
Okay. Nice that they do that, right?
Yeah. And some of the big U.S. news, we have the fires in Southern California, already a very bad fire season.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah. But yes, so far, at least if there was, I could have missed it because I haven't had the time this weekend to look. But I haven't heard of any deaths directly involved. There was one possibility about a death involved to do the fires, and there's been 3 people arrested for arson. But evacuations are starting to be lifted around San Diego, so that's some good news. Including the ones around Camp Pendleton. But yeah, the whole San Diego County got hit pretty hard this last week with, and you got trip degree, or why can't I say it?
Tryptophan.
Turkey does sound good. Triple digit temperatures. There we go. With being acted on with strong winds and very dry conditions, not helping things at all for the firefighters. But at one point there was 34 helicopters and planes on one day alone being used. A lot of them military, partially because Camp Pendleton was being threatened, but also because they're just nearby and they can do it. But yeah, at this point, most of the fires are at least 50 or more % contained, so things a lot better there. There was a couple dozen houses and apartments lost to the flames there, but yeah, so hopefully it continues to calm down and isn't as bad as the worries are now due to everything that's been happening.
Yeah. Do you think that's there are ways that people can avoid stuff like this, the fires and stuff? You know, just like being prepared to get out or making sure that everything is safe.
Well, I mean, yeah, growing up in Southern California, it was, there was all kinds of information posted all the time about what to do to be better fire prepared and having emergency kits and all that. And I mean, how much area to have around your home cleared of any brush so that it was less a hazard. But at the same time, when you're talking winds with gusts in the 70 plus mile per hours, those sparks go very far, very fast. And I mean, you can have very flame resistant home or whatever, but all it takes is one little spark finding one little spot and it just spreads like crazy. And it's just, I mean, if in this case, it seems like some, if not all of these fires in San Diego County were arson.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that just doesn't help things when people are lighting them on purpose.
Yeah.
At least it doesn't seem like, I mean, there's been cases there and in Colorado where firefighters who were looking to be, they were bored and wanted to get a hero notice, light a fire and then lose control of it. I mean, at least in this case, it wasn't that, because that's even worse when the firefighter is the arsonist. But,
yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, the other solution is just pray for Colorado weather. I mean, we had snow last week. It was 80 degrees today, but we had snow last week.
Go figure, right?
Yeah, it's Colorado. I can't remember if it was 05 or 07, but we had a white 4th of July.
Wow.
So I'm like, the only month I haven't seen it snow and stick in Denver, the mountain's another story, but in Denver is August.
Yeah.
In the 17 years I've been here, that's the only time I haven't. So I'm like, everyone's like, oh no, it's snowing in May. I'm like, yeah.
And
I blame, I had people I blamed, my friends the people that had specific statuses about in, beginning of April or end of March. I packed all my winter clothes already. I'm like, you doomed us. As soon as they did it, I commented, I was like, you doomed us. And guess what? Snow in May.
Oops.
Yeah. And it was gone by the next day, but
well, yeah.
Still. Yeah, no.
Oops. It's always funny when that kind of happens, right?
Yeah. And since we had the last show, we did have the tornadoes hit the south. That was really bad.
Oh, yeah, and I have a story about that. Because we had straight line winds that Thursday when the storms hit Texas.
Yeah.
We had straight line winds, which basically means they're going straight.
Yes.
Horizontal to the ground. And it was really bizarre. I mean, my apartment started shaking because of how strong that it was hitting. I grabbed my cat and we went to my parents' house because it's a lot more stable there because it's brick, not wood frame. And that was fun, because I love that weather. It was also a little kind of, wow, there's a tornado warning right over my house.
Yeah.
Let's get moving to make sure that, nothing happens.
Right. And Jay Bren in the chat rooms talked about last time they had straight line winds that knocked a tree across their porch.
Oh, yeah, there was plenty of damage there. I mean, there was stuff that wasn't fun.
No.
Wasn't fun at all.
The funny thing about here when we had the winter storm warning before, the day before it snowed, we had the winter storm warning and allergy warnings out. And so I made the comment on Facebook. I was like, you know you're in Colorado when you have an allergy warning at the same time you have a winter storm warning. Because I can't remember seeing both of those at once before, even. But no.
It's an interesting situation when that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fortunate that and this is me knocking on wood. It's interesting when the allergies happen because I don't have them.
Yeah.
So except for like really bad dust. But like when dust when dust gets really bad, then that's then that's an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of gets anyone, I think. But the one that gets me is if I'm around a lawn that's being mowed or just been mowed, I like almost go asthmatic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to prove that in high school. My dad didn't believe me when I told him I can't mow the lawn. Even my mom and sister backed me up. And so I went out and did it while he was home one time. And like 10 minutes in, he's like, okay, get back in, get in the shower because you're
dying.
Get in the shower. I'm going to have to take you to the hospital type thing. And so from then on, I didn't have to do it. But it was like, he thought I was just trying to get out of it. I was like, no, I literally can't breathe and do this. Yes, the global warming, Jay. We saw a lot of it here in Colorado last weekend.
Yes, it's obvious. It's obvious that that it's all global warming's fault, right?
Right. While we still have time, because it's gone by really fast tonight, I do want to do this part of the show I don't like doing, but I really feel like we need to, remembering the soldiers who've fallen over the last bit. We have three of them, because not having a show for a couple weeks. But on April 28th, Sergeant Sean M. Farrell II of Accord, New York, was killed in combat in Nejrab District, Kapisa Province. He was assigned to the 1st Battalion, 32nd Infantry Regiment, 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 10th Mountain Division out of Fort Drum, New York. On May 3rd, Private First Class Daniela Rojas, 19, of Los Angeles, died in Hamburg, Germany, after being transported there for treatment out of Afghanistan. She was assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 12th Infantry Regiment, 4th Brigade Combat Team, 4th Infantry Division out of Fort Carson, Colorado. And then, actually I have 4. I'm missing one. On May 11th, Chief Warrant Officer Derek M. Ramuson, 33, of Oceanside, California, was killed in Mazar Sharif, Afghanistan. He was assigned to Company C, 1st Battalion, 227th Aviation Regiment, 1st Air Cav Brigade out of Fort Hood. And then on May 6th, I'm sorry, I found one. I really messed up my links. Found two more, sorry. On April 28th, also, Private First Class Christian J. Chandler, 20 of Trenton, Texas, was killed in combat in Baraki Barak District, Logar Province, Afghanistan. He was assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 87th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 10th Mountain Division out of Fort Drum. And then on May 13th, Command Sergeant Major Martin R. Barreras, 49 of Tucson, Arizona, died at San Antonio Military Medical Center after he had been transported there when he was wounded on May 6th in Herat Province, Afghanistan. He was assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 5th Infantry, 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 1st Armored Division out of Fort Bliss, Texas. And he got a lot more press because he was, and now I just totally blanked on her name, but he had been involved in the rescue.
Oh, Jessica Lynch.
Yes, of Lynch, and he apparently was the one that handed her over to the rescue team, and personally was defending the position against the enemy while they were getting her out. Mm-hmm. And so, but yeah, he was wounded on May 6th and died on May 13th. Command Sergeant Major. And he started as a buck private.
Yeah.
But yeah, sad to see any of them go. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we can't. We've got to make sure they're remembered for their sacrifice for us.
Yeah. It really is. I mean, what those guys do. Mentally, I want to do. Physically, I cannot.
Yeah.
Stupid back spasms.
Liver disorder. Stupid medical lists,
Yeah.
But yeah, we talked about, you and I have talked about that before, how we both want to, but
yeah,
wasn't in the cards for us. But
yeah.
Well, the other things I had that my history events for the last couple weeks. April 29th, 1986, with Roger Clemens pitching for the Boston Red Sox, became the first Major League Baseball pitcher to throw 20 strikeouts in a 9-innings game. Since then, it's been done 3 other times, one of those by Roger himself again, the other 2 by Kerry Wood and Randy Johnson. The most strikeouts in a game, though, is still owned by Washington Senators Tom Cheney, who in 1962 had 21 strikeouts, but in 16 innings. Which I'm impressed. Okay, a pitcher that pitches for 16 innings, I mean, that's a long game.
It was a lot. Pitch counts didn't matter back then. They matter now.
Oh.
Of course, back then, I don't think you had 12-year-olds throwing curveballs.
Yeah, but I'm sure he needed a good week to recover from that.
He was probably back out there in a couple of days.
Yeah, no, but I'm like, that's easily was close to 200 pitches in 16 innings, most likely. Unless all the strikeouts were pure 3 pitches and anything else was 1 pitch each. Still. But that was a long game anyways. Let's see. April 30th, 1803, the United States made the Louisiana Purchase from France, more than doubling the size of the U.S. Let's see. May 6th.
A technically unconstitutional maneuver.
True.
And why? True. And why is it unconstitutional?
The government did not have the right to.
Wrong. Actually, what it was, Congress had authorized James Monroe, the diplomat to France, to offer X amount of money. Thomas Jefferson told him to offer Y amount of money, and Monroe ended up offering Z amount of money.
Well, he also got a lot more than they had been looking to get to.
Yeah, but
I mean, he got 828,000 square miles at 3 cents, less than 3 cents an acre.
The funny thing here's the funny thing is that Jefferson was worried he'd get impeached for that. Because he was like, look, we did something unconstitutional, and of course Congress didn't do it, but
Yeah.
that was still kind of interesting.
Well, we'll get to more on that actually here in a few. On the Louisiana Purchase anyways, but May 6, 1954, Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so that was quite the thing, with a time of 3:59.4. And then later in the year, in August, he at the British Empire Games, Vancouver, he would do it again with a 3:58.8.
Cool.
And then he was after he finished at Oxford later with a degree in neurology and neuroscience research. And then in 1975 was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II for being the 4-minute mile marker.
So basically, he wasn't just fast, he was smart.
Yeah. Ridiculously so, apparently. Neuroscience and neurology, yeah. Goes over my head anyways. Let's see. May 6, 1937, the Hindenburg crashed in Lakehurst, New Jersey, pretty much ending the blimp as a primary form of travel. And that was also because of the radio announcing of it live was one of, maybe not the first, but one of the biggest live accounts of a disaster.
Yeah, that's going to probably keep people. Yeah, that definitely kept people from going back on them.
Yeah. Because until then, that had been, hey, this is the easiest way to cross the Atlantic. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try planes.
Yeah.
Yeah. April 10th, 1869, Promontory, Utah. The the joining of the Union Pacific and Central Pacific Railways occurred, linking coast to coast in the U.S. by rail for the first time. May 12th, 1937, King George VI is crowned King of the United Kingdom following the abdication of his brother, King Edward VIII, in the previous December. And King George would reign for 15 years until 52 when he died, and Queen Elizabeth II became queen. And she's done rather well.
Yeah. You know what the
anniversary
tomorrow is?
I haven't looked at tomorrow yet. I don't even know
Anne
what tomorrow
Boleyn being beheaded.
Ah, there you go. But yeah, definitely a different thing. But yeah, and they've had the I totally just blinked on the name of the movie. Talking about the speech that King George VI and the struggles he overcame to
the King's Speech.
Yeah, the King's Speech. There we go. That's too simple.
Sometimes simplicity is it.
Right.
But you know what else is it?
Got 3 more. I'll be fast. May 14th, 1804, Lewis and Clark explore the Louisiana Purchase and go all the way to even make claims all the way to the Pacific Ocean in the Oregon Territory. And let's see, May 15th, 1941, Frank Whittle makes his first successful test of a jet engine plane. Definitely changes a lot of history. And then May 17th, yesterday in 1954, the Supreme Court ruled that segregation of schools was unconstitutional. Another huge moment in American history.
Yes.
But yeah.
So where can we find you?
Find me on Toro Radical. It's TORARADICL on .com. Everywhere else, pretty much. You can follow the site there. You can find Next. We have Next with JDS on Twitter and Facebook. And how about you, Taylor?
You can find me at EYE Desert Blog. That's at EYE Desert Blog. And you can also find me on Saturday Night Cigar Lounge, here on Vigilant Liberty Radio. Also, you can find me on Wednesday and Thursday on FTR Radio with the boss lady, Liz Harrison, on Right War on FTR Radio, with the simulcast here, too. So, you want to say good night, Jonathan?
Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We will catch you next week when I'm hoping to have a guest that we've mentioned trying to get before. But we'll have more on that over the week. So pay attention to this show's Facebook and Twitter for news on that.
What a tease. What a tease. We'll see y'all next week, guys.
Have a good night.
This show is copyright by VLR Media. All opinions of panelists and guests are their own and may not reflect the opinion of VLR Media, the host, or anyone else.